Good evening, everyone. This is Debbie Henderson from Debbie's Designs. Welcome to Step It Up Sunday. Now, this is Step It Up Sunday. I do once a month. I think it's on I'm trying to remember if this is the second Sunday of March. I believe it is. And what I normally do is start out with a stamp set. I go simple to stepping it up once and then stepping up twice. But before I get started with that, while everybody's joining me, a few reminders. This is my hostess code for March. If you're placing an order through my online store, make sure you enter this code when you check out in the hostess code box, and you'll earn some free products from me at the end of the month. I'll contact you. By the Bay is a celebration stamp set, which is my door prize for the month of March. Anyone that places order with me throughout the month, and that includes all Paper Pumpkin subscribers, your name will be entered into my drawing to win this stamp set. So today's stamp set is Golden Afternoon. And when I posted that I was going to use this, I kind of chuckled a little bit because nobody realized where this stamp set came from. I think with all of the excitement from Celebration and all of the butterfly sets and everything else that we've been focusing on, you guys have missed in the occasions catalog on page 31. Here's the stamp set right here. And there's a few cute samples there to go by. So if you missed it, make sure you dig out your occasions catalog so you can look it up. So that's what I'm using today. So what I'm going to do, I'm using all of the same colors in all three cards today. So I'm going to show you all the supplies I'm using, and then as I introduce each card, I'll give you the measurements. Inks, I'm using Memento Black, Gorgeous Grape, Pineapple Punch, Mossy Meadow, and Balmy Blue. I am using the Classic Weave ribbon, and this is the white ribbon. We're using the Stamparatus tonight. And then I've got quite a few punches. I've got the 1 3/4 inch circle punch, the tailored tag punch, the everyday label punch, and the brand new story label punch. This just came out on March 1st with the Celebration Coordination products. So if you don't have this, it's because it's new and you can start ordering it anytime this month. Let me see what else. We've got an aqua painter. And then I'm going to start by showing you the first card. So again, this is Step It Up Sunday. First card is clean and simple, very simple. So this is the first card using the Golden Afternoon stamp set. I'm using Balmy Blue cardstock, which measures 8 by 4, scored in the center at 4. Whisper White, 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 square. Now I'm going to bring in the Stamparatus tool. I want to show you a little tip. I left this stamp on here on purpose because I want to show you what happens when you leave your stamp in here for like overnight or more than a day or so. It's really, really stuck on there. And if you start pulling away, I feel that it's going to pull away from the cling part of the stamp. So that's where I bring in my little Take Your Pick tool. I have this little spatula on the end, and I actually push that under the stamp to help me pull it before the cling mount part separates from it. So this is so thin that it's a great tool to just go right under and pick it up. So I wanted to show that to you before I removed it. Okay, so let's start out with card number 1, which is clean and simple. I'm going to actually use a little bit of adhesive in back of my Whisper White and place this on the grid only because I don't want it to move and it's on a piece of paper. And even though I'm still going to use my magnet, I just didn't want this to move because I'm not using the top or side edge. This is a large stamp, and if you put it too close to the edge, you might not be able to ink, so I'm using more towards the center. I'm going to place this where I want it, and then pick it up. Next is the mossy green. I'm going to ink my stamp. Press all over the image. And there's my first image. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. Now I'm going to bring in the sentiment, and I actually used Gorgeous Grape on this one. All three cards use the same color cardstock tonight, but I'm going to have 3 different sentiments. Now this one says, hope your day is as wonderful as you. That just goes right in the center of the tree. Next, I'm going to stamp the birds. And there is a right way and a wrong way to the birds. I gauge myself by this one right here. His body is fully extended and the wings are facing upwards. If you were to put it this way, these are upside down. So make sure you look at your birds before you stamp them. You can tell I inked my ink pad too. It's a lot darker than my first card. This looks so good. I'm going to fold my cardstock, and then I've lost my snail already. I just used it on the Stamparatus. I've got one right here, but this one's almost empty. Now, what the heck did I do with my snail? Oh, it's right here. Never mind. Dave and I just got back home just a short time ago. My granddaughter's first birthday was today. I just had time to get home, eat supper, and then I was ready to stamp. So I'm hoping that I didn't forget anything. Okay, so this is card number 1. This would be considered your clean and simple. Another thing that I want to mention about the clean and simple, right now Stampin' Up! Is really pushing hashtag simple stamping, which this would qualify. We also have another acronym that we're using, which is SIP, means stamps, ink, and paper. So here you go with stamps, ink, and paper. So these 2 acronyms would fit this first card. Now let me go ahead and move on to card number 2. For card number 2, I'm actually doing a technique. I'm using basic black for the card base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I'm going to set this aside. Balmy blue, 5 1/4 by 4. Let me see. This is the wrong. Okay, these are just 2 scraps for stamping and punching. Basic black and whisper white. And I've got 2 more layers. Basic black, 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. Whisper white, 3.5 by 2.5. And the card I'm making, the technique, is normally called triple stamping, but I'm actually only doing double stamping. It's a double layer stamping. So you can see that we have 2 layers of the balmy blue. The image is layered on top of each other, but it's continuous. It all lines up. So if you've never done the triple layer stamping, I'm going to show you how I did this. Now let me bring in my Stamparatus. I'm going to wipe down my stamp. Now, I don't need the paper this time. So I'm going to start out with balmy blue. I'm going to just have the 1-inch square going around the whole thing. So what I'm doing different on this card to the one I'm going to show you tonight, I wanted to try, instead of doing blue on blue, I want to try putting the white in the center and see which one I end up liking better. And again, I'm going to add a little bit of snail in the center. Glue this down right in the middle of the balmy blue layer. We're going to put the magnet down. I should have done this before I laid it down the first time. Now I'm going to take my tree. It needs to be stamped on both pieces of cardstock. So I'm going to add that right there. Pick up the tree. And then Mossy Meadow ink again. And I'm going to press down so that it stamps on both layers. And I'm actually going to ink this one more time because I'd like it to be a little darker. Okay, so you can see that what that does, because the white cardstock is a little bit taller or higher than the balmy blue, it causes a little space in between. That's where the basic black is going to come in, but first we need to stamp the other tree. I'm going to clean this one first and remove it. So you can see that these peel off very nicely if you do it right away. But if you wait, like the one I showed you when I first started, that sat overnight. So that's why it had a really strong hold to it. And that's where my Take Your Pick tool came in. Okay, now I'm going to pick up the little tree. Again, use the Mossy Meadow. And again, I'm going to do it twice because I want the ink to be darker. Okay, we're done with the stamping on that one. Next, while I get this ready, I'm going to stamp the Thankful for Friends Like You using the Memento Black. And I'm going to bring in the tailored tag punch to punch that out. And I'm going to layer that with the Everyday Label punch in black, the basic black. And then next, what we're going to do is bring in the card base. I'm going to separate these two pieces. Now I need, oh, you know what I just did? I just used the wrong black. Hold on, I gotta cut another piece of black. I was supposed to use this one for punching and I used the wrong one. Let me see if I can cut. Now this one, what did I say? Measures 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. Good thing I keep my supplies handy just in case I goof, which I did. Okay, so now I'm going to glue the black right in the center, and it's going to cover up the little space caused by the ink because of the different levels that we stamped. And then this one's going to go right over the black, and you can see that the tree is all lined up. So I don't know if you guys would prefer keeping with the white or staying with the balmy blue. I just thought I'd do both, and you guys can decide which one you like best, and you can tell me. And you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to do my birds when I had the Stamparatus tool. So let me see if I can fix that. I'm just going to put some there. I was supposed to go all the way across with my Stamparatus tool and I forgot. So that's okay. It still looks fine. Now I'm going to add the ribbon. So what do you guys think? Do you like the blue on blue better than the white on blue? You'll probably be able to tell better once I add the punched shape too. Let me make this a little longer. So it looks like the blue on blue is more popular for a vote. I hadn't tried it before, so that's why I wanted to try it with the white, just to see if it changed it up a lot or not. Okay, now let me cut my ribbon. Now when my bow does not want to cooperate, I cheat and I use a glue dot. Do you guys do that sometimes? I'm just going to cheat and stick that down with a glue dot, and it lays down a lot better that way. Okay, next I'm going to glue my basic black punched shape, and then I'm also going to glue down the white cardstock sentiment. Both are with Stamping Dimensionals. That's going to go right about here. And don't forget to share my video while you're watching, because I'll be picking a name tomorrow for all 3 cards. Somebody will win all 3 cards. Okay, so there's card number 2. So we've got the Balmy Blue and the Whisper White, or the 2 Balmy Blue layers. So let's move on to card number 3. We're going to be doing a little bit of sponging on this one. So this is card number 3. So this would be stepped up version number 2. So we went from clean and simple, stepped it up once, and this is stepped it up twice by adding some sponging, and then we added a little bit of bling and some coloring. So I'm going to show you how to do this one. Again, Balmy Blue 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. And I wanted to show you another tip. You know how I like to show you guys some tips. So on this one, I'm showing you how to layer the sentiment, and I'm using the new Story Label Punch. So I know that layer number 2 is going to be my basic black. It's a whole piece of black, and it's mostly going to be covered with white. So what I did when I made this card, I punched out a shape with my punch. I'm going to do one more. Set this aside, and I'm actually going to glue this down because it's going to be covered with white, and nobody will know that I punched out 2 shapes there. It's just a quick way of saving on your cardstock, especially if you know that you're going to be using certain punches or certain colors before your card is complete. Okay, so there's layer number 2. Now I'm going to bring the Stamparatus in one more time. And again, we're using the larger tree. Now this time I can go ahead and place this in the corner because my tree is stamped down and over to the left. And that's going to go right about there. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going ahead of myself. I need to do my sponging first. If I don't do that, I'm going to smear the ink. So let me bring in the Balmy Blue. And I'm using a stamping sponge. I'm going to just do some sponging in the center, and I'm going in a circular motion. I'm not going all the way to the edges. Now what I've also done, if you notice, I have a sun sitting right here. That's where the 1 3/4 punch came in handy. I cut out a hole through my Whisper White, and then I'm going to bring in the Pineapple Punch ink with a sponge dauber. I'm going to place this in the corner of my card. And I'm going to go really dark on the edge, but just lightly go towards the center. Pull that out so you can see that my sun is in place. Just to soften up the edges a little bit, I'm not going to re-ink my sponge, but I'm just going to run across that outside edge just to soften it up. And I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not. But that's how I did my sun, because I didn't want those hard edges. Okay, now we're ready for the Stamparatus. And my tree image. Again, using Mossy Meadow ink. And I am going to stamp this one twice. It's quite light. That's what's great about the Stamparatus tool. If you guys don't have this, you really need to get one, because this cardstock does not move once you put it in place, and you can just keep inking your stamp and going over it until you like how dark it is. Now I'm going to go one more time just on the top right here. Okay, so there's my tree. Next, I'm going to just add a little bit of water. I'm not squeezing, and I'm going very quickly. I'm coloring with the ink lines, and I'm just kind of filling in the leaves. And I just realized I did forget one ink color, because I need to color the trunk of the tree too. So I'm going to go ahead and get my soft suede ink pad. So you can see I'm just pouncing so that the water doesn't get squeezed out. I don't want a lot of water. And you get the look. Isn't that cute? I love the way that looks. Now let's bring in the soft suede. I'm just going to grab a little bit on the end. And again, I don't want to smear the Mossy Meadow ink too much, so I'm just quickly dragging the color down over all of the branches. And that's all I'm going to do. It gives it that watercolor look. Okay, so now we're ready to glue the Whisper White layer. We're actually going to cover the 2 punched holes. This is a good tip to use especially when you're using foil sheets, because they're so expensive. It's just a great way to stretch your foil sheets. Cut out some shapes before you cover them. So see, who would ever know that we punched the basic black under this white? Okay, now I'm bringing in a scrap piece of the Balmy Blue. The next sentiment says, "Loving thoughts are with you." Again, I'm using the Story Label punch. And I'm going to show you how I layered that. So this is the one that I've gone ahead and cut with the basic black. I'm actually going to cut this in half the long way. I'm going to add snail and then just layer this so it's about 1/4 inch sticking out on the bottom. And I'm going to do the same thing on the top. So this is a good way to do an instant layer. Okay, so see how cute that is just by adding black on the outside of the shape. Now let's bring in some ribbon. Oh, I forgot my birds again. I keep forgetting to add my birds. And I wanted my birds to go through the sun. So there's that. So I'm almost done with card number 3 already. See how quick these were? So for those of you guys that fell in love with this stamp set when I announced it, you'll have 3 cards to get you started with. I usually can do both so easy, but when you guys are watching, I just can't seem to do them as quickly as I normally do. Isn't that always the way? And of course I have a camera on my face too, so that doesn't help. Okay, there's that. The scissors. And then lastly is the sentiment. And then we're going to add a little bit of bling. Now, I don't like, this ribbon is covering way too much of the tree, so I'm going to shorten that up some more. Okay, that's better. Oh, Nancy, you didn't realize you could cut the layer. You can actually do that with a lot of our punch shapes. Just cut them in half that way and then have a little bit sticking out. It's just a perfect way to layer your punches. Okay, that's going to go right there. Now, the bling I'm using tonight is actually leftover bling from my paper pumpkin kit from last month. We had so many supplies left over. And just a reminder that today is the last day to subscribe for the March kit, which is going to include a second stamp set. So we're going to get 2 stamp sets in the March kit. And that is because it's our 6th birthday anniversary of Paper Pumpkin. Okay, so there's card number 3. So this is the stepped up version number 2. Let me get the other ones. This was stepped up version number 1, again with the white background or the balmy blue. And then we had the clean and simple. So there's my 3 cards for tonight, everyone. I hope you enjoyed them all. I hope I steered you into the direction of purchasing this stamp set. It's a really nice stamp set. If you need the item number, it's actually 148772 from the Occasions catalog. So thanks so much for joining me tonight. I hope you enjoyed my cards. I hope you're having a great Sunday. And I will see you again. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at my calendar, so I'll see you sometime this week. Have a good night, everyone.